Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for coming back to On the Town with Tanya. I really appreciate you. Today's guest is a living embodiment of divine transformation and multidimensional wisdom, a certified hypnotherapist, psychologist, spiritual life coach, astrologer, and a high priestess. She's a woman of many talents. She's a she's a woman of many talents, originally from Detroit and now based in not Thailand, Vietnam. She's helped others master their higher selves, through an astro psychology, sacred teaching, and spiritual mentorship. A retired celebrity pastry chef, mother of three, and host of and founder of two podcasts, SoulTherapeutics and cMovingAbroad222. She walks in deep truth and divine power. Please join me in welcoming the visionary, the healer, the guide, Ilewashun. Did I say that right?
Hey. Ilewashun. That's good.
And tell me the pronunciation again. How are you, love?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Excellent. Thank you. Excellent. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and join us. I know it's a different time over there. We're 11 hours difference, right?
Yes.
So it's a lot.
My pleasure. Yes.
But bear with us. You will get something today out of this guest. I'll tell you, because I was touched by her and I'm inspired by her. I'm sure you will be as well. So just pay attention and share this video, because why we share? Not for numbers, because we care about people, right? All right. So please share just a little piece of your story and how you had, how you come into such a diverse journey.
Okay, so I think I've been on a self-discovery journey all my life subconsciously. Mm-hmm. I started out as a little girl singing in the church. I was in the church heavily. My mother is like deeply into the church. So I always had some type of connection to the divine. I didn't really know what it really truly was until my first car accident. I was hit by a drunk driver. That's how I got the scar on my face. If you guys can see, you probably can't see. Maybe you can. Oh, it's this side. Okay. So that's how I got the scar on my face. After that experience, that's when I really figured out what was going on with me, who I was, who God was, and I got to really get to know myself. I kept wondering, how did I survive? Why did I survive? I started asking those hard questions. And then I had 2 more car accidents after that. So I beat that 3 times. All car accidents. The first time I was hit by a drunk driver. The second time somebody pushed my car into ongoing traffic. And then the third time my car flipped over on the freeway and I was pregnant. It flipped over about like maybe 4 or 5 times. And then it landed right back in the middle of the freeway. So after all of this, I was like, okay, who do I know that just get up and walk away from things like this? Like, this isn't normal. This isn't something that a typical person would experience and be able to walk away from every time. Even if I had bruises or whatever, I was blessed enough to, walk away. Right. So I started strengthening my relationship with myself. That's when my spiritual journey really, really started. Like I said, I feel like I've been on my spiritual journey all my life, but it got really serious in 2011 after that first car accident where I was hit by the drunk driver. So I continue to discover things about myself. I wanted to learn about myself. So I started digging and digging and digging. And then I got into astrology. And once I learned and used astrology as the tool to get to know myself more, it was up from there. I was like, okay, so this is all happening for a reason. Okay, I have a voice. Okay, I have to share my story. I have to tell people what's going on with me, how I overcame all of this, how I beat depression, alcoholism, anxiety, suicide. Like, I overcame so much. And I feel like these things were put in place to like destroy me and to like in me, but I always overcame every time. And I realized that a lot of people don't make it out of the things that I've experienced. So that's when I realized that I was one of the chosen ones and I needed to live in my purpose. I needed to teach people. I needed to spread the wisdom, the knowledge, and I needed to show people how to overcome these challenges, these trials, these tribulations. And I just wanted to be a walking manifestation of what it is that I built for myself. Like I wanted something different. I always knew that my life will be great. I
Right.
just didn't know when. And
Right.
once I learned how to fix different things and I started building myself up, I was like, wow, this is magical. I want to teach this. So that's how
That's
I got to where I am today.
You got inspired. Wow. And that's amazing. Three accidents. Wow. That's just I know that scariness of feeling like I made it through this. Why? It's a powerful testimony. So how did you transition from celebrity chef, pastry chef, to becoming a spiritual guide?
Okay, so I started baking
Mhm.
in 2013. I was actually working and doing direct care. I used to take care of patients, right?
Okay. Okay.
Different people who had mental challenges, people who were disabled, sometimes at nursing homes, and I would bake the cakes. Like my manager was like, "Listen, we need to bake cakes for every client that we have that's here, because obviously their family put them in these homes to be taken care of, right? To have 24-hour surveillance to be able to watch them, make sure they're okay."
Right.
So she put me in charge of making the cakes. And
Mhm.
she was like, "You're making the cakes." And I was like, "What the hell? Like, I don't want to do this. Like, this isn't what I'm getting paid to do."
Right.
But I started
Had they
doing it.
tasted one of your cakes or something? Is that how she knew you?
Well, no, she just told me that I was in charge of making sure that every time they had a birthday, their
Mhm.
family would come to the home and
Mhm.
visit.
Mhm.
And I was in control of making the cake. Like she
Wow.
wanted me to have it made, decorated. And I was just like, why is this lady got me doing this? This isn't my job. I'm supposed to bathe them, feed them, give them their meds.
Right.
I did not sign up to make the cakes, but that's what she wanted me to do.
Uh-huh.
So I remember this particular family came and they asked, like, who made this? And my boss was like, "Oh, she made this." Da, 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 da. And they were like, "This is delicious." And I realized that every time I made the cakes, I would have fun. It felt very therapeutic for me, and I would have fun. So
Mhm.
each time I got better. I
Mhm.
started putting more and more into it, like serious energy, and not just like, "Oh, I'm just doing a job." I started getting serious about the baking.
Right.
And then I started making cupcakes and things at home for my family, for my friends. And I've always had like I've always been very artistic,
Mhm.
like good at just anything that has to do with art.
Mhm.
So when I put my artistry into it,
Mhm.
it was good. It looked good. And then they were saying it tastes good. So I was like, hold on, this might be a little business. So I
Right.
started making cupcakes for family and friends. People would
Uh-huh.
start ordering things from me. I started to post it online and people were ordering. So I was like, okay, I instantly was like, I want to turn this into a business. So that's how I started. And
Wow.
then I did it for 10 years. And
Wow.
even though I loved it and it was very, very fun, I enjoyed it, I got to a point where it just was no longer serving me.
Right.
So I stopped. And of course, my whole family and everybody thought I was crazy because I'm known in my city as the cake lady. People would see me at the store and be like, "Aren't you the cake lady?"
Oh,
I'd be
wow.
like, "Child, I ain't baked the cake in months." Like, what? And they like,
Wow.
"Yeah, I remember you," because my
Oh,
marketing was very, very good on social media. That's how I built myself up, because I would post all day, every day. And I was very good with like my pictures, presentation. So people started to take me serious. And that's how I built my brand.
wow.
Pretty Pastries by Josiana was the name.
Oh, wow.
And then from there, I was working at a bakery. And then that's when I realized that it was just no longer serving me. I was
Okay.
very good at it.
Mhm.
Everything I made tastes very good. I built clients who became family
Okay.
over the
How'd
years.
you get a celebrity? You don't have to say who it is if you want for respect, but how'd you get a
So
celebrity?
no. The reason why I say that is because, okay, so in my city we have a lot of popular people, people that are known, people who have platforms, big platforms. People started to reach out to me and start booking me that had
Oh,
names.
okay. Gotcha.
So that's where I got that
Yeah.
from.
Okay.
So that's why I say celebrity, because in my eyes, I am that. I think it has a lot to do with being from Detroit. I think we all kind of got this little ego thing going on where we feel like we are our own celebrities.
That's
It's
okay.
a Detroit thing, believe me.
It's okay.
But yeah, so that's how I got that going. And then people who had big platforms will like shout me out. They would tell people about me, and I just built a very heavy name. My name became like a household name, and everybody knew me everywhere I went, and they knew me to be the cake lady who had good cakes. Like my stuff was good. So yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. I wish I could bake a cake. That's one thing I'm not good at. I don't know how my daughter beat me on that one, but that's a skill. It's a skill and a gift, and probably served you when you needed it. Because I had a friend who was in need of money, and she's a master baker too, and she started doing that, and she couldn't even keep up with the orders. It was just too much. It was
Yeah.
overwhelming. But I was like, that was just the universe giving you an extra income at the time that you needed it the most. So don't hate on your extra gift, because
Right.
when you got that creativity and you can do stuff like I might bake a cupcake a little different than your cupcake, right? So clearly
Right.
you're creative and that's what you do. And some people that's not what they do. They can execute it okay, but when some people are telling you that much in your town and everywhere else, clearly that's another gift. So what drew you to the field of hypnotherapy? Like, and how does it connect with your work as a psychologist and doing spiritual coaching?
Okay, so when I first got deeper into astrology, I started dating an astrologer, which is also a hypnotherapist. And so I got my certification out the country.
Yeah. Okay.
So I dated an astrologer, but he has a school. So obviously being in a relationship with him, I still attended the school as well. And I got my certification overseas. Okay. So that's how I got into hypnotherapy, because it's all like interconnected.
Yes, it is.
Astrology and with the spiritual journey. Yeah. So it was a layer of many other things that I learned, but that's how I got into hypnotherapy. And then I found a passion for it. And when I do natal charts, it actually helps me to understand people on a different level, and I can actually teach people and help them understand that a lot of their experiences are past life experiences, and how they carry gifts from past lives into this one, and how some of the traumas that they experience are from past lives. So like I said, it's all interconnected. So it just helped me with my teachings and, the knowledge that I have to share to help people with self-mastery. So yeah, that's how I got into hypnotherapy.
Wow, that's amazing. Which talent, I'll say, do you think you've been using the most since you've been in Thailand and Vietnam?
Well, everything for me is psychology.
Okay.
Everything trickles down, That's why I always say psychology first, because I am a woman of many hats. But if you pay attention to like my entire life, and if people follow me on social media, they focus on how I move, how I think, how I talk. I'm like very raw and open and real, but everything that's connected and tied to me is always psychology. It's something to do with psychology. So that's why I say I master in astro psychology, because everything that has to do with me is astrology, but it's also psychology. So that's why I say mastery is astro psychology. So,
okay. And now, when did they coin that phrase, astro psychology? Because that was new.
That's something. No. That's something that I use. A term.
Oh, you coined it.
I don't even know if that's like a term.
Okay. But no, I'm glad you said that. That's you invented another word. That's great.
Yeah. I just use it because
it makes sense. Look, I was looking up. I was like, wait a minute. But I know I like to make up words too that make sense of what I'm talking in context of what's going on. So I love it. I was like, okay, I gotta see what this one is.
You get what I'm saying? So that was my it just defines who I am.
Right.
And it better explains what I do. My whole life is summed up in that one thing, astro psychology, you know?
Yes, and they do go hand in hand. So you've described yourself as a high priestess. What does that role mean to you, and how does it influence your approach to healing?
High priestess?
Yes.
Okay, so high priestess, in other words, is like a witch. I mean,
that's what they say, but tell us because there's people like,
I'm gonna break it down.
This is sacrilege. I can't listen to this. So tell me, break that down for me, because I know there's a piece to that is not, the witchy that we're thinking witchy.
Exactly.
Because a lot of people like, oh my God, it's evil spirits. No, it's opposite. If you're doing it right, that is. So that's why I wanted you to break it down, because there's some people who really just have no clue.
Right. So high priestess is a bougie way of me identifying as a bruja, which is like in Spanish, that's a witch. So what people don't understand, when we think of witch, we think of evil, we think of darkness, but a witch is simply an alchemist. It's a goddess that uses her femininity, dark and light, which is duality, which has a lot to do with the tattoo on my neck, light and dark. And I put it on my neck for a reason, my throat chakra. I put it there for a reason. So it has a lot to do with alchemizing the energies that we all have, which is your masculine and your femininity, right?
Yes.
And a lot of people never realize why they can't get to a certain point in life. And that's because they don't know how to balance it. It's not about man, woman. Masculine and feminine energy is something that every being that's having a human experience has to learn how to balance in order to get to the highest version of themselves in this physical reality. So that's all a witch is, an alchemist. And I am a master alchemist. That's what I do. I know how to alchemize different energies. This is why I also teach that there is no right or wrong, because everything is light and dark. And we need darkness in order to have light, and we need light in order to have darkness. So a high priestess, with doing the work that I do rituals. I do a lot of witchy shit. But it's to teach people how to use magic, because what people fail to realize is this is what our ancestors used to fight their oppressors. People think like, oh, you're doing hoodoo, you're doing witchcraft, you're doing voodoo. Okay, but if you want to go back, let's take it back. The church has an altar. Don't get me started. The church has an altar. You're drinking the blood. Okay, so where do you think that comes from?
Thank you. I always thought that was weird, but yeah.
You said the who?
I always thought that was weird. You're drinking. Let's drink the blood of Jesus. Why would I drink anybody's blood? Like anybody's. I'm just saying. I just asked my mom that. She thought I was crazy. I was like, my forever mom was a minister. So I was like, but she let me ask my questions. So that's what I love about it. She was like, I said this, and it's gonna be that. Now it's always what she says goes. But at least she wasn't like, oh, kid, you're crazy. She'd just be like, okay, this is my different child.
Exactly. And it's okay. I love that you had that safe space to be able to ask questions, because when I have these conversations with Christians or people that are heavily religious, it's like I can come back and forth with them about everything they say, and then they're confused. It make no sense. But I'll get into that in a minute before I get off the subject of this. But what I want to say is the whole book of Psalms, it spells. So we use the book of Psalms in spell work. We use that. Very rich, very ritualistic. It can help protect you from harm and danger. It can help put things in place. Yes, like it's so much.
I want to calm myself. I always read Psalms. Always.
Yeah, Psalms. Listen, Psalms is powerful.
Yes.
If people only knew how powerful it is and how you can use it for so many different things, they'll understand that it's all interconnected. So it's like we can't stray away from one thing and frown upon one thing, but then love another. It's all interconnected.
Well,
that's what I teach.
Yeah. Well, where that comes from. I mean, I didn't study a lot of religion, but I studied a little bit of religion, different various types or whatever. But remember, anything that was related to African tribes, and that's the ones who were here as Native Americans, the ones who was back home before they came and discovered America. Yes, I said that. So they came with their religion or what entities or whatever you want to call it. Everybody has different names. And so the goal for them, for those that were doing the pressing, was to wipe out anything that could make us strong, keep us together, keep us whatever. So one is they gave us their religion, and that's their version of it. So we had ours. They just said, no, that's voodoo. That's because we're Louisiana family. My birth family's from Louisiana, so they'd be like, "Oh, they're into voodoo or whatever." I was like, "Voodoo? What is voodoo? Tell me exactly what you consider voodoo." Like, because depending on what you say, it could be that, or it could be what you make it. Like I don't believe somebody can put a curse on me, but that's just because I put that in my mind since I was a kid. And so go ahead, try it if you want to, but it won't work. That's just because I put that in my mind. Now everything's subject to what you thinking. So I believe it was wiped out and told that everything's so bad because it keeps you from advancing as a human being. That's what I think. And so while I am quote unquote, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual is the word. I'm spiritual. And I do, my ancestors are like everything for me. That's that's my goal, my guide. That's everything. So everybody has their way of doing it. Some people go into the church, some people go this way. I don't care what they do as long as they don't tell me what I can do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good, So, but yeah, so I don't know. I just hear a lot of people, they always, as soon as you say, I'm a witch, they're like, what? You're a witch? Oh my God. Unless they understand it. And most people don't. Now, there's some people who say there's bad witches, I think they wouldn't say. Is that what the word they want to say? And those are people who do bad spells, I consider it. So I do know that's another thing. But that's because they took it to a whole nother place. That's how I see it. I don't trip anymore on either way. As long as you're not in my cipher with the negative, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. But anyway, so much for that. I just was hoping that people to understand that, because sometimes people, especially people who are quote unquote religious, but I was like, how religious are you? You're allowing all that stuff to go on XYZ here and there. And then, because people in the church going here and doing this and doing that. I'm like, how religious are you? You said you're what? Because we can always find a contradiction. I can always find one in any religion. So to me, words are just words. Show me your actions.
Yeah, definitely. And then I wanted to add to that. I wanted to finish that other statement first because my brain just goes. So I have to do things in order to stay afloat. Gemini moon brain scattered. Okay. So I have to ground. What I was going to say is that I do believe I'm spiritual, but I grew up heavily in the church. I mean, even my mom to this day, she makes little comments like, aren't you a witch? And I'll be like, yep, sure is. But that's why I use High Priestess. And if you look at my bio on my Instagram, it say Broha, because I like, okay, so I can use the word witch, but I just choose to use like a bougier, a higher version of explaining what it is that I am and that I do. But it's like, if people really know me and they pay attention, they'll be able to see like, okay, she into some things. But I don't really believe in like good or bad, like I was telling you, but there are low vibrational witches.
Okay. So that's a word.
Yeah, so when you are invested into low vibrational things, you serve low vibrational entities. Because there are entities that governs every emotion. So you have so if you're angry, there's an entity for anger. If you have depression, there's an entity for depression, like, and they have to be fed. So yes, there are low vibrational witches who feed these entities. So that's a whole nother thing. Right. But that's with anything. Right. That's any community, anything, there's a high and there's a low.
Yes. Dark and light. Yeah.
Yeah, dark and light. So what I was going to say about religion is I definitely feel like some people need religion. And even though I don't identify with it anymore, I feel like some people need a middleman because they are not self-aware enough or came to that level of self-realization to where they know how to reach the divine directly. So they need a middleman to help them. Right. And those are what we call baby souls.
Okay. Baby souls?
Yeah, baby souls. Oh. So that's what we call baby souls. So those are the ones who need guides. So I love that religion is in place for them, because if they did not have it, they will lose their fucking minds. Yeah. So they need something to keep them grounded because they can't do it themselves. They're not self-aware enough to do it. Okay. So like I always just tell people, you have to figure out where you are and what you need.
Wow. Well, thank you for breaking that down, because it really helps. I'm so glad that I had someone like yourself break it down just a little bit more than what I was used to hearing. So I took a whole nother approach on it. And I don't judge anybody anymore, or sometimes even if I hear, like, I know someone that they say that the woman passed from a spell that was put on her and she fell in the kitchen and hit her head. And that's what the person said would happen. And that's what happened. But I was like, okay, I think it happened because she believed it would happen. That's just me. And maybe that's true, though. Yeah. She believed it so much. That was her whole upbringing, that if someone puts a spell on me, it's going to work. And blah, blah, blah. And I said, because I know people have tried to do harm to me mentally and emotionally, that even some people didn't even know me, but just whatever. I had psychics reach out to me saying, do you know such and such? And I say, yeah, no, girl, I'm very third eye. I got all that since I was little. I could see things, but I just don't act on it unless I have to. Like, so go ahead, put spells, do what you got to do, but it never works I know they'd be looking at like, didn't I just try to do this to this girl? Why? I don't know. Sometimes people just, I don't know if they're just so bored or not, they haven't found their gift, so they get mad because you found yours. I'm not sure where that comes from. Like, why would you try to harm somebody else, especially someone's not doing anything to you? That's what I don't. I can never understand that. But there are people who are envious, jealous, manipulative, and they get bored and be like, yeah, let's see what she's doing over here. Let me see how I can mess that up. And you're like, why? So I don't understand it, but there are people who do that. But since I was little, I was like, you can't put, a girl told me to put a spell on me. I said, I dare you. And she was like, watch me. Now I was like, I'm still waiting. 50 years later, when's the spell coming? But that's because in my head, I decided that no matter what they say they're doing, it's just not going to happen. Will it happen? I don't know. But so far, so good. I mean, I don't know. I believe whatever you believe is what's going to happen. So she might have really believed it. I don't know. I didn't believe it. So I think that's why it didn't happen. But that's just me. I don't know. We get what we put into whatever it is. That's anything. So moving abroad, that's what I want to talk to you about as a mother and a businesswoman. That's such a bold move. Like, that is like straight badass, as I'll say, because it takes everything. Like, I've lived out of the country before, very young, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't have nobody and nothing. So it was like, ooh, I did it as a model. But it took everything in me to be like, I was gonna up and leave, because it's a lot. You leave your family, you leave your culture, you leave your not your culture, but your immediate neighborhood culture, whatever that is. So if I live in Bedford, if I live in Chicago, if I live in wherever, it doesn't matter where. Your community is a sort of a culture to me. It's something you're used to. It's the way people do things. And to go all the way to a whole nother world takes guts. What myth and fears did you have to release and fully embrace your global calling?
What fears and beliefs that I have to release?
Yeah, to really just step out and say, I'm doing this. Because there's always that doubt, like, okay, and then 3 kids.
Right.
That's a whole nother, because that's a whole, as a mom, I know that's a whole nother thinking process.
Right, absolutely.
School, education, I mean, 500 things. Safety,
right.
A lot of stuff. So how did you do that? How did you come to that part?
Right. So just to be transparent, and this is what I teach in my mentorship. You do everything scared. You're supposed to. What it does is it builds character. So I was scared as hell. I still did it. I was worried, like, wonder if this, but fear is a natural emotion that we are supposed to feel. But the thing about it that they don't teach us is that it's like the fuel you never knew you needed. It's like the gas your car needs that you never knew. You know how they have a certain type of different pump for certain cars. And it's like, oh no, you can't use that. You got to use this gas. So fear is the fuel that you never knew you needed. And if you are doing something and you're not scared, that might not fucking be for you. So if you are scared, that is confirmation that this is going to pivot you to a whole nother level, something that you never imagined. So I was scared, but I still moved forward. I allowed myself to feel my emotions, which is something that I teach, because we are taught, oh, you don't supposed to feel that.
Right.
You don't supposed to feel like that. Be strong. No, fuck that. Who lied to us? Every feeling that you feel, you are supposed to feel. Emotions are natural.
Yes.
You're going to want to feel like you probably want to kill somebody one day. For anybody to tell you, you shouldn't feel like you want to kill somebody, that's a lie. Right. There's a difference between feeling it and acting on it.
Right.
All of these emotions are supposed to be felt because you're having a human experience. Right. You are a soul having a human experience. So your avatar is experiencing these manifestations that comes from your thoughts. So I was scared as hell. I still did it though. And every level and every chapter that you go into, you're going to keep being more scared. Right. And I just promote doing things while scared. So it's not that I fully released anything. I just allowed myself to feel it. I stayed truthful to myself that, okay, this is really what I'm feeling, but I'm not wrong for feeling it. So what I did release was the guilt. And I allowed myself to feel scared.
Right.
And then that allowed me to just pivot. So that's the mindset I had to be in. Like, oh, I'm scared, but I got this. I had to do a lot of self-talking, a lot of reassurance. I talk to myself a lot. So I had to do a lot of self-talking, a lot of reassurance, a lot of you got this. And I went through hell before I moved abroad. But we'll get to that if you ask that. We're not going to go too deep into that. But I went through hell mentally because I had so much negative pushback. So I had to just stay strong. And
how'd you get through that pushback? Because that's usually why people don't go. Somebody's in their ear, mom, dad, brother, sister, family member saying like, oh, you're going to pick up the 3 kids and we ain't going to be able to see the kids. And they ain't doing it. Instead of thinking like, you know what? This is amazing experience. These kids are going to have something that no kids usually get.
That's what I wanted to hear. That's what I wanted to hear.
Yes. A world experience. I did that with my kids. My kids were going to Italy 3-4 years old. I mean, very young. Going to wherever, France, wherever and I didn't get my nails done. I didn't get my hair done. I didn't get none of that done, because that was more important to me than me looking gorgeous. Although everybody wants to look gorgeous, but you know, I had to make the sacrifice. You have to make the sacrifice. And those kids are never going to forget how mom is boss lady. Like that, to me, that's a real boss lady. Like you're just going out and just doing it. You know what I'm saying? And you made a success of it. And even if let's say, even if something would have happened, it would have went another little left. It's still something they will never forget. How you just said, we're going to do this. And yeah, it may not look the way we want it to do, but we're going to do it. As a kid, I was very impressioned. I can't think of the word. My forever mom put a big influence on me because here I was coming from the orphanage, going to a home, you know what I'm saying? And this woman has me traveling down south. Not so much legally, because you know you're not supposed to take foster kids out of the state without the signature. And so she was like, "Well, you can come and get her." Well, I go, and then they'd be like, "No, we can't do that." Okay, and then she's coming with me. So I'm lucky that my mom would drive down to North Carolina, back to Georgia, over here and over there, because she was preaching. You know, before you get your preaching whatever degree, whatever they do, you have to go to all these places they send you to. Wherever they send you to, you got to go. So I was going fly here, fly there, Florida, go to here, go back there. So at 7. I was basically jet setting within the country, right? And then, so when it became, 18 and 19, and I moved back to the city to, aged out and find myself into a place, and then had some other stuff going. I got offered a trip to Africa, and I couldn't go because of my passport, because of some complication from foster care. So that sucked. But then I finally did it and said, I'm just going to go. My friend said, go, you should go and model, because I was really skinny. And they were like, you should go and model. And I started modeling at 16, but I was dibbling and dabbling modeling. It wasn't like Wilhelmina contract and all that stuff. That the more serious stuff came later. And even then that was brief, but it was good. It taught me that you are really not living. You thought you were living. Like, girl, that's what you thought you were doing? Go over here to, Istanbul, go over here to Thailand, go over here to and watch. You'll see how people are really living. They're doing a different thing, a whole nother, like I was in Paris and I was like sitting there. I said, what is it? I said to my brother, what is it about Paris? And I said, it's hustling and bustling here as if it was back in the 90s, you know what I'm saying? When things, but business was booming, people was everywhere. Like, it's hard to get on the street. Like it was happened like that at the Louvre, everywhere. It was everywhere. Nighttime, people are out. I mean, full-fledged out at 9 and 10 p.m. Now in America, you're told what? Do not eat after 6. They don't eat their dinner until like 9 p.m. But what do they do after? They go walk back home about 10 miles.
Wow.
10 miles, but they go back, do another 10,000 steps to walk back home. So they're not just sitting around and going to eat on it and lay down. There's a difference, right? But you don't know that if you haven't traveled. And kids are very observant. I never forgot being a kid and watching my mom move from place to place and not even have a thought about it. So for me, when I got older, it was like, okay, I can go get on a plane and go here. That's not a problem. You know what I'm saying? And then when I modeled from Paris, I would go to other places. And my friends, I got lucky. I had friends who had some nice things. So I'd go from, let's say, Madrid and go to Morocco, go here. You know what I'm saying? Because I just so happened, the universe said, we're going to make this really wide for you. And that's so important as a kid. When your kids are 7, 8, 5, 9, 10, 12, seeing that, you just open a whole new world for them, and they're not going to be boxed in like most people are boxed in. I hate to say it. They don't know it, but they're boxed in. And traveling, does something for the soul to me. It's like it just does something. It does something. So kudos to you, Ma, because
Thank you so much.
That's a big thing to be able to just, I gotta do this. I'm gonna go. And of course, as I do this, somebody's trying to text me as I'm talking. I apologize. What was I saying? So being originally from Detroit, and now living in let me see, right, Vietnam, because you left Thailand, right?
No, Thailand.
Oh, you're right, Thailand. I'm sorry. So
I was just visiting Vietnam for a couple weeks.
Oh, did you like it?
No.
Okay. I
can go into that. If you get to that, I'll go into that.
Okay.
No,
okay.
I didn't.
Okay. So how has moving abroad shaped your personal and spiritual growth?
Before I came, I was already being tested to like trust the divine no matter what, even if I didn't have a map or whatever. Okay. It's made me learn to trust even more blindly. Things go wrong, things happen, right. And I have to wholeheartedly know in my heart that it's going to work out in my favor, and I don't have a choice. I can't think of nothing else but that. I have to know, and I have to trust, and I have to go through these experiences and just remember that it's for your good. Right. And that's one of the biggest reminders that I have every day that I live abroad and that I'm on this journey is that, hey, just trust. Trust what you don't know. Trust what you don't see.
I saw you in one of your videos where the school was like, yeah, you didn't do such and such paperwork or something with the paperwork or something had to be visa or something. I don't know. And you were like, oh no, we're doing this. And they were like, well, no, you can't do such and such. And you just was adamant and you got it done. You got it done. Yeah. That's just amazing. And I like the fact that you research, search, and make sure. Yeah, no.
You best to believe it, because you can't listen. You can't listen to them. See, the thing is, not saying that they're just doing it for money, but for one, they want to make money.
Right.
But also, every foreigner's experience is different. And plus, I have children. So sometimes they're not used to dealing with certain cases and they can only try their best. And sometimes they may not be knowledgeable of something. So this is why no matter what you hear and see on the internet, do your own fucking research. You can't count on other people. I don't care if they lived here for years. I don't care if they are a master of their craft. Do your own research too.
Right. That's everything, I find. Because you might find a shortcut that somebody didn't even know existed.
Exactly.
And especially young people, they be finding, like, I don't know how they be doing it. Sometimes there's things, formulas, or at jobs where they're like, okay, this is how we do it, and then they'll be like, no, I do it this way. It's like, wait, what? You just saved the whole process. Like, but the boss would be like, oh, you're right. So now what? So yeah, do your research and your homework, and in that you'll find where you're really supposed to be. So you help people master their higher selves. Can you explain what that means and how someone can begin that journey? To find themselves.
Okay, so you're saying explain what it means to find yourself and how to start the journey?
Yes.
Okay. I would say that you have to get to a point in your life where you are tired of not showing up the way that you know you really want to show up. Humans, that's what I call them, humanoids, get very comfortable with just settling, for anything, because people love comfort. They just want to be comfortable. So something could be literally destroying every part of your being and you'll just settle, because we're taught to settle because that's where people feel safe. Long as you got a crutch, I'm going to settle because this crutch feels much more comfortable than me jumping off the cliff and not having anything to fall back on if I fall, right? So you got to get to a point where you are tired of settling, right? And that's the point that I got to. I was like, life got to be better than this shit. You telling me that this is life?
Right.
This?
Right.
No. I gotta have more than this. I gotta be more than this. There has to be something out there. So you got to get to that point, right? And I got to that point with myself. And then I promoted through my life. I am a walking manifestation of what manifestation is. And I always tell people that. And I feel like I'm very relatable because I'm just myself. I'm not going to pretend to be no fucking body else in this world. I'm going to be me. And I feel like that's why people are drawn to me, because I'm relatable and I'm not trying to act like, oh, I'm better than you and I'm just Miss Bougie and nobody can do it like me. Like,
right.
I want you to experience what I'm experiencing. So I'm sharing everything and how I live with you so that you can experience it too.
Right.
So people got to get to that point where they want more, you know, where they want more and they want to see more, they want to be more, and they want to show up in the way that they know they want to show up. And it starts with coming to that realization and being real with yourself, because we pretend, we lie to ourselves. We lie to ourselves because the world has lied to us since we've been born. So lies on top of lies on top of lies just creates a life of lies. And when you come into this journey and you see that everything is a lie, some people go into psychosis because sometimes it's too much. People get scared, they get confused. But when you really want this shit bad, you're going to sit in that shit. You're going to sit in the confusion. You're going to allow yourself to be lost. And eventually being lost is going to lead you to being found. And it's just a willingness of wanting to be that you have to have. And then everything else kind of trickles down. And that's what I teach. And I want people to really, really take this shit serious, because we sit around and we complain, especially melanated people, Black people. We complain about all of this shit and what we don't have and what we want to do. But it's everything that you're living. It came from a thought that you had. You put yourself where you are. You can change that at any time. You can jump timelines and quantum leap into a whole different person. But you don't care to do that because you're settling for where you are. So that's on you. So I just teach people to vibrate higher and outside of the frequency that they already live in, you know?
Wow. That's stuff. Do you have a like one story without identifying of anybody that you really helped them find their self? I'll just say, because I always say, you know, eventually they'll find themselves, hopefully. Anybody that you was really proud of, that you really helped change?
So one of my mentees, she actually messaged me, what was that, last night or today? Because the time zones is different. And she was like, even though we don't do sessions anymore, she was like, I still see you as my coach. And when people tell me stuff like that, you know, I think that I should gas myself up a lot more than I do. I already gas myself, but I think that I don't really realize sometimes how much of an impact I make on people just simply by them even watching me, even if they don't book with me. And this person went through a lot of childhood trauma. We won't go too deep into what that trauma was, but to be able to help her identify it and work through it. And the fact that she's come to that realization, and every time I talk to her, she's like, I don't know what you did to me or what you put me into. She's like, but it's life changing. Like, she shows up totally different. And I love her because she's one of the ones that always remind me of my power. And I don't think that a lot of my clients realize how much of a blessing they are to me, because I always try to remind them, like, I'm not over you, right? You are my mirror. You are a mirror of me. You are a manifestation of what I manifested within myself. And I created you. You came out of thin air for me to assist you because you needed some assistance. But at the same time, how we know we're leveling up in life is based off the people we mirror. So the people that you experience are simply manifestations of your thoughts. So when I'm seeing these people, I'm seeing a person that wants to grow, a person that wants to show up in the world better, a person that wants to learn, and it reminds me of me. And then it's just me, a reflection of me. So I love that. And I love how this person, like, so my mentorship is for 30 days. So I literally hold your hand for 30 days. I show up and I pour into you for 30 days. And just in 30 days to see that switch from, like, when she started, she was fearful. When she took my advice, she made a TikTok page. She ended up going viral. And I was like, see, girl, so included in my mentorships is the natal chart, is the astrology. So I literally break down your whole chart using Vedic astrology, because I started off in Western and then I switched to Jyotish, which is Indian astrology, which is more better. It's just better than Western astrology. Western astrology has become pop culture. I don't really like it. People just make up shit. And Jyotish astrology, you can't do that. You can't make that up. It's literally scripts. Like, this is serious. It's different.
Okay.
So when I did her chart and I explained to her that she is a person who's supposed to be seen, she's supposed to be seen in the world, but she was very laid back and shy and just didn't want to explain. I was like, girl, you're powerful. Your chart shows that you are going to move mountains and people need to see you. She took that advice. She listened. She put herself out there. Her first time trying, she went viral. That's aligned.
Yes.
So, you know, I'm just proud that people like her take my advice and actually listen, and then their life changes. So I'm just proud of her because she was very like in the bag. I don't want to be seen. And then now I'm following her TikTok page and the way she's interacting with her audience and she's talking. You would have never knew that she used to be that person.
Wow. That probably his past stuff not worked out. That's when people go inside and hide. That's past stuff, which is why we talked about psychology is very important, because that's everything. You got to go back to the past to figure out what's going on for the future. Yeah. So it's interesting.
Absolutely.
Well, that's awesome. So what role did I mentioned that before. Did I? What role did motherhood play in your own journey of healing and self-mastery?
Motherhood.
Yeah.
Motherhood reminds me of who I need to be. Because I'm one of those mothers. Okay, so my parents was very hard on me, and I feel like I didn't really have a voice. I had to always just be strong and just a lot. And my mother, I love her dearly, but she was emotionally unavailable. So it made me realize that I did not want to be the person that I experienced growing up, because I realized how it affected me. So motherhood is always a reminder. You got to show up. You got to show up. You got to show up. And not just for myself, but because when I leave this earth, my legacy is going to live on through generations. And I want them to be, I want my kids to be like, my Mima, she didn't play no games. Like she, you know, and I want everybody to feel that and for it to flow through our bloodline. I realize that I'm sowing those seeds now. So I take my motherhood role so serious. Like I even yelled at my oldest son when we were in Vietnam because I was so overwhelmed from being there and the experience, and he cried, and I never saw him cry before. And I immediately was like, how did I make you feel? What did I do? And he was like, you did this. And I was like, I apologize. I don't want to be your bully. I apologize for what I did. I never want to be that person. Like, it just makes me be fully accountable and make me show up better, not just for me, but for my kids, because I never want my kids to feel like the person who was supposed to support them and love them wasn't there, because I didn't get this growing up. Right. And it did affect me negatively. Right. So it's just always a constant reminder of how I need to show up, who I need to be. And then it all trickles back down to me pouring into myself and doing that with myself first, because if I don't do it with me, I can't do it with them.
Nobody else. That's right. That's a fact. Wow. Well, that's amazing. Do your kids do they like it so far?
Yeah, they love it. They love the fact that they're not on the schedule.
Okay.
So the way that, the way that I'm raising them is complete freedom. So they probably should have a bedtime, but they don't. Okay. They probably should have a strict schedule, but they don't. Okay. And I also homeschool, and I allow them to be kids. Okay. Because I have a 13-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 7. So the 9-year-old and the 7-year-old, they are all my kids are very creative. They're all into art in different ways. They're very artistic. But I allow them to fully be free, and I think that they love that. Okay. And I know that a lot of moms and parents and people probably wouldn't agree, because they're like, they need to be on a schedule. They need structure. I feel like kids only need structure to a certain extent, but when you allow them to truly grow and be who they are, while putting them in environments and places where they're naturally going to learn, they're going to learn anyway. They're sponges right now. Yes. So teaching them and allowing them to learn naturally is it adds and it helps to building character when you don't have them on strict routines,
Yes.
then you don't take away from who they're going to be. You allow them to grow beyond measures. And
Yes.
I feel as though personally, it allows them to be even more healthier. They'll have an even more healthier childhood and grow up to be very great people because they were not restricted. And I feel like sometimes we can be too structured with the kids where
We
we don't
are.
allow them to be kids.
Yeah.
And then they grow up just doing too much. Just let them be free. Let them experience, like, let them have fun. They supposed to be exploring and having fun right now. So that's what I'm letting them do.
Yes. No, I totally agree with that. If I could, my kids are grown women now, 30, 35 and 28 or 29. I can't remember my kids' ages, but they're fully grown. But if I had to go back and do it again, and they had a lot of freedom compared to everybody else, I would have homeschooled them for sure. Now I just happen to have two bright kids, so they, one scored like 1,600 on the SATs without even studying. So, they're little geniuses in their own right. They don't think so, but I was like, girl, I know I didn't score that.
Exactly.
I had problems. I had to get help. So they don't understand that. I was like, I'm so lucky that if they got math problems, they know how to do it better than I do. So I got lucky. But if I had to go back and do it again, I would have definitely homeschooled, because I realized while the classroom is great for teaching structure, right? But structure is not good, because now you can't find your real self. When you're in a classroom, I just feel like kids are being contained and trained to think in this room with the window versus going out in the world. Like, okay, we're going to go in the forest today and discover forestry, or we're going to go to the mountain and figure out what goes on in the mountain, or we're going to go to wherever. It could be anywhere. That's a better experience when you're experiencing it firsthand, rather than reading a book and having to regurgitate it back. So that's my thing. My friend homeschool all four of her kids, and they are, when I look at all my friends' kids who are homeschooled and those who are not, even if the ones are A students that went to school and whatever, and they're all A students, to me, hands down, the kids that was homeschooled and had a different upbringing, they just pass everybody, like on all levels, whether it's schoolwork, whether it's creativity, whether it's thinking of a friggin' how to make a new water cooler, or inventing stuff, whatever it is, they just appear to excel. And that's how I just think they're using more of their brain power. And I think you're trained to, I don't know. I believe as soon as you're born, it gets depleted. You're born with all these gifts and brain power. And we get down to, most human beings probably are using, I want to guess at this point right now, probably not even 60% of their brain, which is crazy, because you're like, wait, but she's already genius. I was like, but imagine how much more genius they'd be if they had more freedom. So I don't know. I love the freedom part, as long as they're doing stuff that's curious to them, that's going to help them figure out who they are. How about that?
Yeah. And I still incorporate, so everything with me is psychology. I'm really like kind of obsessed with psychology. Well, no, not kind of, I am. Everything to me is understanding the person, the body, the mind. So I'm constantly teaching them that too. And the homeschool assignments I make up, I type out, I create on my own, which is something I'm thinking about offering on my website soon, where I can make them custom to the parents who homeschool. I can make the sheets custom depending on what you want to teach your child. Right. But I create a lot of it on my own, and a lot of it is like self-mastery. It's not your typical school shit. It's just not. And ultimately what we do is world school. That is what we do. So they're learning as we travel the world, as we explore these different cultures, as we go these different places. They're learning, so
nice. Are they learning a new language?
Yep. So every country that I go to, I always like to learn the basic language.
Yes.
So of course I teach them. Right. And I'm going to language school here while I'm in Thailand. So of course they're speaking some Thai too. And I make them to the point where sometimes I will speak to them in Thai and demand that they speak back. Okay. It's just a way that I teach them. Yes. And they want to learn too, though. They're just like me, so they want to learn.
Yeah. Immersion is the best way to learn. To be in there, and when you in Rome, do as the Romans do. That's what I say. So you should definitely learn the basics of a language, at least. Well, if you live in there, you should probably learn the language. But that's a good thing for them, because then they become, it's like when they get older and decide, I'm going to open a business, I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do. That's another chance for them to communicate with another type of person, customer, business, whatever it is, because they got another language under their belt. So I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And I think they'll do great. With a mom like you, I can't see them how they couldn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, they
Oh,
got,
thank you.
got
Yeah,
love.
they're gonna definitely speak many languages. And like probably about like maybe 5 or 6, because
Yeah.
that's my goal, about 5 or 6. Only because like we're all business, right? So eventually they're gonna all have their own businesses and do things, and I want them to be able. Oh,
Right. Well, sorry.
no, it's okay.
This thing is not working. Why? My charger. Sorry. Just give me 1 second. I don't. Oh, there you go. Okay. I was like, why are you not working? Sorry about that. I didn't mean to be rude.
No,
Yeah,
it's okay.
it's important to have a support system, and they definitely have that. And I know your time is valuable, so I'll try to get through these last 4 questions.
No, you good. I'm enjoying. I love the questions. I'm usually on the other side and doing the questions. So
Yes, your podcast.
I don't really do this a lot, so I'm enjoying it. I have no issues.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you. So you've mentioned overcoming trauma. What steps or practices have helped you the most in healing from that?
I'll start first with shadow work. So shadow work is basically unpacking all of your hidden fears, thoughts, everything that you hide. You have to be real with yourself about what it is that you got going on. I actually told my best friend today, I was like, I know that I have traumas that has affected me long term because of the fact that, can you hear me?
Yes, I got you. I got
Okay,
you.
okay.
Sorry.
Okay. I've had my own experience with traumas growing up, and they still show up. And I realized the other day how it showed up when we were in Vietnam. And, you'll think that you've healed from something, which sometimes, yeah, you have, but you never really completely heal from everything. There's always something to learn from and to grow from. So I constantly do shadow work. I have to be real with myself about my experiences and what it has done to me and how I can surpass it. So I journal and I ground and I meditate a lot. Those are 3 things. And it's so funny because I just actually made a post about those 3 things earlier. And like right here, right? I'm sitting right on the side of my bed. What we got? Journals. This is serious.
Right.
I journal a lot. So I have to constantly write everything down, and I have to constantly ground, which is, going outside, walking, putting my feet into the dirt, into the grass, into the earth, going on walks. And then I have to meditate a lot.
Right.
So these are things that's very impactful and that you should use, especially if you're a person that want to just heal, because healing is hard. It's not easy when you got to confront those things, So yeah, it's very valid to find a set of things you can do that allows you to heal from whatever experiences that you have had.
Right. Well, yeah, no, the work is very important. And I always tell people you got to get all the stuff out, sit on the table, and then decide which Louis Vuitton is going in after you sat in it and figured out what's what and where's it going, how did it affect you, and all that. You got to just really break it all down. I used to do counseling, so that's the first thing I tell people is unpacking, getting that all the drama, family legacy, whatever it is, getting it all out. And once you've got that, then now we can do the real work. You can't do it without that. You can pretend the body, that book, The Body Keeps Score. Best book ever. I forgot the name of the author, but I swear by that and Dr. Mate Gabor. I love him. Love him because they get that part of unpacking. So what's one key lesson or a piece of advice you can give someone who feels disconnected from their true self?
Stop fucking pretending to be somebody you're not. Shit, that's it right there. Stop pretending. Stop showing up because you don't like that person. You don't want to be that person. So why the fuck you trying to pretend to be that person? Most people have identity crisis, and that's why I teach identity shifting so that you can shift into who you really supposed to be. Most people are not who they really want to be. They're who they were told to be. So stop pretending to be somebody you're not. Be yourself. Yes, you're going to get judged. Yes, people are going to talk about you. Yes, people are going to mistreat you. Yes, all of that. It's going to happen. But who cares? Do it anyway.
Right. That's it. And that's, oh, I love that. I just love that. And most people are definitely fronting. So my last question for you, because time is of the essence here. As a global guide, what do you see as the biggest challenge people face today, like in a spiritual journey? Like, and how does that help? Um, how do you help them? How do you help guide them and navigate them or whatever through those obstacles?
What do I think is the biggest challenge?
Yeah, yeah. For most people, I mean, I think you said it, being fake and not really being honest with themselves.
Yeah, I was gonna add to that and say just not living in their truth, not doing what they really want to do. A lot of people wake up, they go to jobs they hate. A lot of people are married to people that they hate. A lot of people are in circumstances that they hate. A lot of people just do things just to do shit because they're lost. So my thing is, you got to come to that point where you're like, okay, what do I need to do to be who I really want to be? Right. And the whole world is a stage. Absolutely. So you got to figure out what it is that you want, what you don't want, and you got to start aligning things for it to be exactly how you want it to be. Because, you know, I sit back and I watch so many people that complain and talk shit and make excuses for themselves. Oh, I'm this way. But it's like everything that you are is because you put yourself there. Nobody put a gun to your head and told you to be that person. No matter what you've been through, your circumstances, your trauma. I've been through a lot of shit, you know. I always tell people, I used to be a stripper. I used to sell dope. I used to be an alcoholic. Like, I used to be in the streets heavy. And then, so I have street smarts and I have book smarts and I have a lot of other smarts, but my experiences is what shaped me so that I can be who I am sitting here being today. But instead of being ashamed of that shit, I just used it and transmuted it into power. Now I can talk about it publicly without being embarrassed and say, hey, I used to be that person, but I got tired and I did this, you know? So it's all choices. We just have to make better choices, stop making excuses, get off our ass and live how we really want to live and stop blaming other people because of who you are.
Yes, that's a good one to blame. That's a good one. And that's so, it's like, and that's a lot of people, just the blame part is very heavy. Because even if someone did you wrong or did you dirty, at some point you just gotta, you know, work through it and figure out, okay, so I can't get that part because that wasn't my part. But what's my part that I can do to correct myself and make myself move forward? That's all you can do. You can't really blame. Oh, this happened and that happens. I had a book I was writing called No Pity Parties, because even as a foster kid, I was like, okay, so what? You know how many people was abused? Like, and okay, and why I got chosen over somebody else? Because they probably would have killed themselves, or excuse the words, we're not supposed to say that word. They probably off themselves because they couldn't handle it. So maybe I have something different that is a lesson I got to get out of this. Everything's a lesson, right? Everything, whether I like it or not, it's a lesson, and that's the part that's hard to understand often in life. I'm older now, so now I'm like, so these are all part of the plan. Like, this is part of the lesson for me to get to where I'm at. So then I can go out and be great and then help 500 more people. And then they help other people. It's just, that's a part of it. I don't trip no more about anything. Whatever happens, it's like, okay, I'm breathing. Okay, let's go. What's next? What are we doing next?
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Right.
So I thank you so much for taking the time to come. Can you tell us just a brief bit about your, so you have two podcasts. Tell us briefly about your two podcasts and where people can find you before we go.
Okay, so I haven't did any new episodes for my podcast, right? Okay. For my personal one, right? So it's called Melanated as Fuck. Okay. Right. So it's in my bio on my personal page. I haven't dropped any new episodes, but the episodes that's on there are powerful. They can last for centuries. Right. The active podcast that I do every Thursday is Moving Abroad 222, all one word, Moving Abroad 222. Yes. So with that podcast, we are on YouTube. I just switched over to YouTube. I was doing Instagram lives, but I kept having technical difficulties. It was causing issues. Okay. And I have some of the best guests. And I felt like it was taken away from them using Instagram because of the technical difficulty. So we moved to YouTube now. But a lot of our episodes are on the page, Moving Abroad 222, all together one word. So with this podcast, the guests that come on, they all live abroad or they travel abroad or something of that sort. And they just share their journeys. live and in color. And yeah, that's what I do as far as that. So, you know, we're growing every day, and we just want to assist people to make it easier so they know what to expect when traveling and moving abroad.
Yes, I love that channel, by the way. I love it.
Thank you.
I just love this social media. I hate it and love it. I love it because of the person is sitting there thinking they can't, they won't, they can't, this is impossible. And you go to a page like yours and say, wait a minute, I can't even put that in my vocabulary. Can't. What is that? Right? Because now you see people who are actually doing it and did it and still doing it big.
Okay.
That's everything. That's everything. A lot of people like to see other people have stepped out on the ladder. I mean, some people will just go for it. Like, you're a leader, so you're just going to go for it. But other people have to be encouraged or inspired or motivated.
Prepped and primed.
Yeah, right, exactly. And when they see somebody like you, they're like, okay, all right, I'm doing this. I'm going to make it happen. Like, it's going down, because they're inspired and they see that, okay, the worst scenarios, it didn't work out well, and I go back to mom and dad's house or whatever, or I come up with another plan. That's the worst scenario, right? It's not the end of the world. Try. If your spirit is telling you to do something, I say do it. I had a friend tell me, I want to go out the country. I said, why haven't you? Well, you sound like you're making excuses to me, girl. You better get up and get out and do something.
Okay.
You're sitting here wasting lots of time. You might have missed your future husband, your future job, your future career, your future whatever by staying right here in this little local spot. Get up and get out. That's it. But thank you so much. I'm so happy that I got to meet you in this way, not in person, but I call this in person.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is like in person. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Of course. And we'll get up. I'm gonna say an outro to my audience. Guys, thank you so much for watching with us. Wow, what a powerful conversation with an incredible person. From self-healing and soul masters. I can't say the word mastery. Okay, got tongue twisted. She reminds us of what's possible when we align with our divine blueprints and trust the journey, even the messy parts, guys. If her words resonated with you today, I encourage you to dive deeper into her world, follow her journey, tap into her community, and begin your own transformation. Until next time, guys, I want you to keep rising, keep remembering, and most of all, keep showing up as the highest version of yourself. Okay, thank you for listening. As they say, Ashe.
Ashe.
And I'm learning. I'm learning. I need to get better on word, different pronunciations and words, because sometimes I'd be just jacking it up. I'd be jacking it up. It's not intentional. It's not intentional. Trust me. It's in everything's in love. I try. But thank you guys for watching. And if you need any links, I got you. If you need to know, you have a book on your site, don't you? Don't you have a digital book?
I got a few things. Yeah,
right.
I got a few different
so you can check out. Check out her. If you just go to her Instagram page I had up here, you'll find it. You'll find all the links you need as well. But you can always inbox me. Y'all know how I do. Okay. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching, and I thank you for being my guest. Hang out for me for 1 minute, and as I say goodbye, thank you guys. We'll see you next week.